In this unit, we'll be reviewing some of the things that you learned last semester in catering, as well as adding a new topic called legal considerations. We will be reviewing the types of businesses from last semester, the kitchen brigade system from Cuisine Chef. So there are three types of business: sole ownership, partnership, and corporate. Sole ownership is owned by one person, and about 75% of U.S. businesses are sole proprietorships. There are also partnerships, and these are owned by two or more people, and the controlled profit is divided among the partners according to a legal agreement. This legal agreement will decide what percent of profit and control goes to each partner. You can have a silent partner who simply puts up money but does not want any control and then just gets a smaller piece of the profit. Then there are corporations. A corporation is created when a state grants an individual or a group of people with a charter, and then that charter has legal rights. The owners then buy shares, which are part of the company. Advantages and disadvantages. This is the exact same chart you saw last semester. With a sole proprietorship, you, the owner, get to make all the decisions. It's the easiest business to set up, and it's the least regulated. However, some disadvantages are it's limited by your skills and ability and finances. So if you're really organized but not so creative, that's going to be a limitation. It's more difficult to raise money because you have to completely back it yourself. And you as the owner have sole financial responsibility. Your personal assets are at risk if anything does not go well. With the partnership, you have the skills and abilities and resources of everyone involved, so two or more people. So one person may be creative while the other is organized, and then you nicely accent or offset each other. It's also easier to raise funds with more than one person who is invested in the business. It can be more complicated. You have to have a legal agreement drawn up. There could be tension and conflict between the owners. And again, the owners are personally liable for all losses. So if you are 50% invested with your partner and they're 50%, if there's a big problem, that each of you have to come up with the 50% to solve that problem. Then there's a corporation. It's much easier to finance, and the financial liability of the shareholders is limited because this is a legal corporation. It's not just an individual. It's very expensive to set up, a lot of lawyers involved in court time. Record keeping is very time consuming and costly, and they do pay more in taxes. To review the kitchen brigade system, this is a means of organizing a commercial kitchen, and this is the same chart that you saw in Cuisine Chef. Your executive chef's in charge with the sous chef right below. And again, your kitchen is divided into sections. Now, these sections are based on the needs of your kitchen. So, for instance, if we look at Sorrento's Pizza, which is right on Mannheim, they probably do not have a bakery section because if they have any desserts, they're purchased. They don't make them fresh there. However, they would have a beverage section because they do serve pop and alcoholic beverages there, so they would need a beverage manager, and so forth. So it depends on the kitchen as to what departments you need. Now, what we're going to do for this review is we're going to expand the brigade system, and you're going to learn some new jobs. Now, if you take a look at these jobs, you're sitting here going, these aren't in English, and you're right, they're in French. And what you're going to do is you're going to look these up online and make electronic flashcards for each of these jobs. What you're going to find is that you can figure out what most of these jobs mean simply by studying the word. So here, saucier, this one's easy. They make sauces. So that one's easy. Boucher, that's the butcher. He cuts all your meat, the butcher. So, some of these you can tell right away, and once you learn what they mean, you'll see how the word applies to that. So you'll want to make sure to show your teacher your electronic flashcards because it's worth 16 points on your worksheet. Now, to move forward, we want to branch into the legal considerations that you have to consider when opening a business. There are so many, it's hard to even keep track. You've got legal considerations dealing with the production of food, and then there's a great number of legal considerations with the management, hiring, firing of your staff. So some ideas or get you start thinking in the legal arena. The USDA and the FDA both set guidelines, requirements, and laws for you to follow. Restaurants must follow the food code, and they must buy food approved by either the USDA or the FDA. The food code is set at the the national federal government sets one requirement, and the states can make that tighter if they wish to. But the food code is designed by state, but the state food code must abide by the federal. So we have an Illinois food code here, and many of you may have already gotten your food handling license or are planned to doing that this summer. The rules set by the USDA and FDA include building inspections, purchasing your food, preparing it, storing it, as well as training your staff. There's environmental legal considerations. Restaurants must have plans that meet with the local ordinances for the disposal of their garbage, as well as the disposal of oil and grease. And many states are starting to require sustainable plans by the restaurant industry to help decrease the footprint that we are leaving, or to increase the ability that we are taking care of our environment. Now, the project you guys are going to do is you're going to be dealing with all the legal considerations for your staff. So there are 8 of them here that we are going to look at. OSHA, Occupational Safety Hazards Act, is what that stands for, but if you simply search OSHA, you will get it. Americans with Disabilities, Immigration Laws, Workmen's Compensation, Affirmative Action, Sexual Harassment Laws in Illinois, which you can also search the Illinois Labor Relations Board, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, commonly known as the EEOC, and Illinois labor laws. You are going to divide yourself into 8 groups, and each group will be assigned one of those topics. You need to look it up and what does it govern, or what does it deal with? What is allowed or not allowed by the employer? What are the consequences of not abiding by the law or ordinance? Then you need to create a scenario to demonstrate the law being violated or not utilized/followed, and then create a scenario to show it being followed and that the company is doing the right thing. You're going to put your information into the legal considerations presentation that was shared with you. So your teacher has shared with you, it's basically like a PowerPoint. You can add more slides if you need to, but there are 2 pages made up for every topic. Feel free to add more. And then once all of you have added your topic in there, then all of you will have all of the notes for all 8 topics. All right, and you need to be ready to share those with the class, and there is a place on your worksheet to add all of that information. If you have any questions, feel free to ask your teacher, but now you should get started on your flashcards and your legal presentations.